We implemented this extremely simple diagram into our sales process, and it radically increased our close rates. I'm going to give you this step-by-step framework that literally anyone can install into their sales process to get the same results. And if you stick around to the end, you'll find out just how it also increased our referral rate. Now, before you sit down with your client, you need to have 3 things prepared. The first thing you need to know is, what type of client are you dealing with? A person who has never experienced a service or product in this industry so far? Or is it somebody who has had experience but has not yet achieved the result or goal they're going for? The second thing you need to know is you have to have collected information about the person. So this would mean, what problem specifically are they trying to solve? What are their goals? And what have they tried in the past that did not get them to the result they want? I strongly urge you to never sit down with a client unless you already have historical information on them. And if you don't have a process for getting this information in advance, then that is something you need to implement into your business. This could be a survey, a questionnaire, an intake form, but before you sit down with them, you need to have this information. The third thing is you have to have a simple analogy ready to go. This needs to be something that you're very familiar with and your target audience also will relate to. An example might be the 3 ingredients that are required to bake bread, like flour, water, or eggs. And then you break each one of those down into a quality and a quantity. So it could be the number of eggs, or maybe the type of flour, fine sifted, double zero, or all purpose. And this is how you'll take your service or product that you have that might be more complex and break it down and relate it to something that they already know. Now let's get into how we do this. Now, with your client type identified, your analogy in your pocket, and the historical information on the prospect, you're ready to start with step 1. Step 1 is having the prospect first articulate to you specifically their pain points or their problem and their goals. Now, it is very important that they themselves state this, even though you probably have this information already. You want them to articulate where they are and where they want to go so you can build the bridge to it. You also need them to identify just how long they've been sitting and wanting this problem fixed. If somebody does not know where they are, you cannot give them directions to where they want to go. And if they don't know how long they've been sitting in the same spot, they won't have the urgency to make a move. And that decision to make a move is effectively what the sale will be. Before I go on to the next step, if you are liking this information and want to hear some more, I'm not going to ask you to subscribe. But what I will do is ask you to put a question of something else you'd like answered into the comment section. We'll either answer it or create a video for it. That way the content on this channel will continue to be about you, the viewer. Step 2 of the framework is to bring in that handy dandy sophisticated diagram. And now you're going to explain to them just what it takes to get a result. And the 3 items on that diagram are going to be required. You can use an example like building a ladder. You need all 3 posts and rung in order to get to the next level. Or maybe it's a stool and you need the 3 pegs in order to sit up, otherwise it falls over. However you describe the 3 parts of your diagram, the important part to communicate is, without all 3 ingredients, they won't reach their goal. Now it's time to get into the specifics. You're going to go through each one of those 3 actions or attributes and describe exactly what quality and quantity is required for that box to be checked. Since I'm doing sales at a med spa, my 3 categories were treatments and injections, skincare, and accountability. My quality and quantity then would be, what type of treatments are they getting and what frequency in order to achieve results. Since most people I talked to didn't have the knowledge to understand how many treatments and the frequency was needed to achieve a result. And it differed between collagen or pigmentation or redness, but people understood the general principles of what it took to get into shape. So that's what I used as my analogy. As an example, if you went to the gym once, it would have an effect upon you. Is it enough so that you would see it in the mirror? No. And then what about the variety? If you have pigmentation, redness, and wrinkles, then you have 3 things that you need to take care of. And you would probably require multiple different types of treatments to achieve a goal for each one. And I go back to fitness. Would you just do bicep curls to get into shape? No, because you'd have big biceps, no legs, and probably still need to lose weight. Pillar 2 for my 3-part diagram was skincare, and I equated this to a healthy meal plan. Skincare is something else that people struggle with because you don't get the same type of instant result that you do from a treatment. Likewise, if you went on a diet, by the end of the week, you probably wouldn't see much difference. But by the end of 2 months, you would see it. The third portion, which was the most critical and I stressed the most, was accountability. Using my analogy of getting into shape with a meal plan and a workout program, the accountability was the fitness instructor, which is the role that we would be playing with regards to improving their skin. I can print off a meal plan off the internet and I can give them a free gym membership. That does not mean they're going to get into shape. They have to stay accountable to do the program and hit the threshold that the body needs to make the change. The same applies for the skin. If you do not stimulate enough collagen, then you're not going to get a result. If you do not do enough treatments, then you're not going to crush your pigmentation. And if you do not stick to your skincare over long periods of time, then you're going to regress right back to the beginning. Step 3 is really about differentiating yourself versus any experiences they've had in the past, especially if they did not get a result. You have to restate the value proposition as to why they should be handing over money to you and why this time are they going to achieve their goal versus last time. And this is where you're going to go back over that quality and quantity of each one of the categories. And the great thing is this will work no matter what type of competitor they went to. If the previous experience was about a lower tiered service provider, it could be that their equipment wasn't up to snuff or they didn't have the appropriate type of equipment to actually get the results in the specific targets they need. If their experience was with a high-end provider such as a dermatologist, it could be that they had great equipment and they had skincare, but did they keep them accountable to stay on the program long enough to achieve the result? You're going to continue to review each one of their experiences, identify the gap that they did not do as part of your framework as the reason that they A, did not get a result last time, and B, why they will get a result this time. This process will separate you from your competition. It'll create trust and authority in your current solution and give people a reason why they should be handing over you the money to get a result for them now. Reviewing this process dramatically increased our close rate. Maybe the most shocking thing about this framework is the number of people who made comments saying, "I've never had somebody explain this to me like this." It was obvious that something as complicated as the skin was communicated in a way that they finally understood. And it was at this point in time I began to ask, well, is there somebody else that you know that would benefit from this process? And before they'd even have a treatment, we were already getting a referral from them. This simple framework was just a small section of our dedicated sales process. And if you want to know what that process was like, you can have a look at that video right here.